Okay, guys. So we are live now, and I'll start with a small introduction of myself. So I'm Sean Matthew, the current head of programming club. What we have today, we have based on your demands and requests and so on. We have the two grandmasters of our institute, IITM, and they'll be interacting with all of you guys. Before that, let me give you a small brief idea on who they are. Vineet and Kira both are grandmasters here at IITM. They are going to represent the institute at the World Finals of ICPC this year. They have been ranked one at the Asia West level. They have actually contributed a lot to the community here in the institute and have inspired many of us to start our journey on competitive programming, including all of us, me and the entire team. Vineet was one of our he's the ex head of the programming club, and he has guided us a lot throughout our journeys again. Kira is the highest rated programmer in our entire institute. Okay, they both have been in the top 10 rated people, in India overall. They both have they have interned at top quant firms like Jane Street, and they are both working right now in the firm Graviton. So if I keep continuing the introduction, we might not finish till even 5 o'clock. So I'll just hand over the session to them. Vineet and Kira, are you there with us? Kaustubh,
Yeah,
Vineet, are
yeah.
you there? Yeah. So Kaustubh and Vineet, can you can take over from now. I'll just hand it over to you guys.
Kaustav, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, uh, hey guys, I'm Kaustubh. Uh, I have actually graduated from IITM this year. So I started my competitive programming journey my in I think in the end of first year or like the starting of my second year. Like yeah, so like my Codeforces profile is Kira underscore 1234. Um, yeah, I think that's about it for my introduction. Like I don't really have much to say. So yeah, I guess we'll go over to the meet now for this intro.
Yeah.
Am I audible, Sean? Okay,
You are just a bit louder, maybe if possible.
okay, sure. So, hi guys, I am Vineet. I am a CS graduate from IIT Madras. I've interned at Chain Street and I'm working at Graviton Research Capital right now. I started my competitive programming journey in my first year end, and I've been doing CP for like last more than 3 years, and it has been a journey of lot of ups and downs. And yeah, like I guess I was able to become grandmaster after 2 years or so, and it has been an amazing journey from like starting to nowhere, being a newbie till being a grandmaster. Yeah, I guess that is it for my introduction. We can go ahead with the questions.
So, okay,
Okay, Vineet. So one question that the majority of the public had was initially when we start competitive programming, it's very difficult to get with the logic and all those things. So how did you manage to cope up with at the initial stages of your journey? So was it through some resources, or what is like, was it just practicing and so on? You can just guide us on that once.
Okay, I'll tell what what helped me during my initial phase. So I think for most people, uh, once you start, there would be some initial growth that you would get uh, just by starting writing contest. It could be different for everyone. Some might get a bit stuck at say 1,000, some might get stuck at 800, some might get stuck at 1,200. And I think for me that range was something around 1,400. But like what helped at that point in the initial phase to get out of that range was to solve a lot of problems. Uh, in the phase, like say till 1600 or so, there aren't a lot of concepts in competitive programming. It's more about uh, like getting those things quickly. Like you can reach till 1600 without knowing a lot of concepts like graphs and DP, and by just solving a lot of problems, by just knowing what uh, lot of things that comes in problems which are around that rating. So I think just solving a lot of problems of a particular rating is something that helped me to get out of that initial phase. I guess Kaustubh can guide on what it was like for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So
that was actually very nice. Yeah, Kaustubh, you can add some insights to what Vineet said.
yeah, sure. So like for me, when I started off initially, the main thing that I focused on was like actually absolving. So there was a certain amount of expectations that I had from a contest that, let's say, if a problem is solved by a certain number of people, I expect it to be solved by me. And if it wasn't solved by me, I would go ahead and like try to absolve it, like by thinking myself for some time and after that looking at the editorial. So in the initial phase, that actually helped me a lot because like when you said, there is not much really, like there are not many difficult concepts or like many difficult data structures till a certain rating, like at least for that initial phase. So what helps is that you have a certain idea of how well you should perform, and then if you're not able to perform that well, then you should look at the editorial, and that gives you an idea or like an insight into the logic. Like most of them are like two observation based or one observation based. So the key starting point is that like whenever you see a question, you try to think of some like initial. The initial point is that it helps if you can reduce the problem or like if you can convert the problem into a simpler statement. So most of the times the problem statement is a bit large, so it helps if you can like group the terms that you already know into something useful. So like sometimes it's written that there should be n numbers and all of them should be distinct and from 1 to n. Instead of that, it helps considering it just as a permutation. So like it helps in rereading the problem and like sort of trying to simplify the problem first of all, and then what helps is that you try to come up with some observations that you feel are like not trivial. Yeah, I think that's about it for the initial, yeah, initial phase.
Okay, Kaustubh, thanks for sharing that. One more point that we got from the chats is sometimes, while doing competitive programming or while solving a series of contests, you're not able to come up with the logic even though you have practiced a lot. So that kind of tend makes you a little low on the motivation side, and you start to feel like, why am I doing this and things like that. So how did you get over that phase, and did you actually face that in your journey? And if you did, can you just share some insights on how you dealt with it? So yeah,
Yeah,
we need Kira
I
to you.
think for everyone, be it someone in the chat, be it us or be it tourist, there would always be ups and downs when you are doing competitive programming. And there would even be times when there would be just downs and downs for like quite a bit long amount of time. A lot of them, and like especially for Kostub, there was a time he was solving a lot of 2500, 2600 problems, but like he was just not able to convert it during the contest. So like for everyone, that sort of phase is like is inevitable. Like it's going to come, and it could be different for everyone. Uh, but like what I have found, like what I think is the best way or motivation to continue it is that you find the right set of people around you. Like if you have the correct set of group with you, if you have the people who have a similar mindset as you and who are as motivated as you are, then they would be the one who would boost you when you are in your low, and who would also like be able to help you out if you are doing something wrong in say while practicing, or if there is some better approach. And not just that, in competitive programming, one of the most important things is to do it consistently. So if you are able to find the right set of people with you, then not only they would be able to motivate you when you are in the low phase, they would also be able to motivate you as you keep on growing, and they would be able to motivate you to do competitive programming consistently no matter what the scenario is. And luckily for me, that group was like is someone who is in front of you, and like Kostub has been a really great motivator for me. I seriously doubt if Kostub was not there, I would have even reached candidate master or something. I would have probably reached expert and thought like, okay, that's sufficient and I can leave it here. But like since he was there, he was always like one rating ahead of me, and it always gave me the motivation to keep on going ahead. Like, where I was a specialist, I think he was by the time I reached expert, he was a candidate master. By the time I reached candidate master, he was a master. By the time I reached master, he was international master. But I think that's when the game changed and I was able to become grandmaster before him. But yeah, even right now, he's like max rating is 100 ahead of me, and I'm still motivated to keep on doing competitive programming to beat him. So I think finding the best motivator around you is like probably one of the most important thing in competitive programming. I think Kaustubh can add.
Yeah, it was actually nice, Vinit, and it seems like Kaustubh has motivated you. So it would be nice to know who motivated Kaustubh. So, so was there
Yeah,
someone like this for you? Was there a Kaustubh for a Kaustubh? Can you just tell us something more on that?
yeah. So one side definitely would be Vineet only. So like I mean he was behind me for a while, but like he always seemed very eager to catch up, and like he outperformed me in like some of the contests as well. So like he was definitely a motivator for me as well. And like yeah, I think like I knew a few people from like who had participated in IOI before. So they act since had participated in IOI before, they initially had a sort of a like a pre knowledge, if you will, about the field. So they obviously have an initial boost. So like that was also a sort of a motivator for me in the initial phases. Other than that, like I think yeah, so like uh, I think Jiangli actually like is a huge motivator for me. So the good thing about him is that like he writes very neat code, and like he never uses any template, nothing, and it's just like from scratch. Like if you are like not able to solve a problem, most of the times, like even if the tutorial is not out yet, you can probably look at his solution, like look at his code and understand the solution. Yeah, so another thing that I would say regarding the practicing and not being able to convert it is that like the thing that I used to do initially was that I used to assume that there's ample amount of time for me to solve the question, and I just need to solve the question, that's it. But what happens is that it's helpful to have a timer for it. So it's helpful if you give it like 30 or 45 minutes, and if you're not able to solve in that time, irrespective of however close you are, like not if you're very close or something like that, you will look at the editorial. So what helps is that this actually helps you in converting the practice to actual questions in the contest, because in the contest you don't actually get an unlimited amount of time, and you have practiced assuming that you have unlimited amount of time. So yeah, so this is like one of the things that I think helps. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that was one more important point for all of us to note. Coming to the ICPC events, okay. So if you guys don't know about this, Vineet and Kaustubh were part of the team called Three of a Kind, and they have aged all the ICPC competitions they were part of till date, and they are going to represent us at World Finals this year. So for these kind of team events, do you have some special suggestions for the people out there? Because coding individually is kind of very different from being part of a team and working together, right? So your insights on this and how you managed it, how you used to split the problems and all would actually help us a lot. So yeah, on to you guys.
I think for us, the best part was getting a good team. Like, uh, it's not just that we all are able to think along with each other, think at the same level, but like one another thing which turned out well for us was that each of us had different specialization, like different topics we were specialized in. So like I was specialized in some topics, Costu was specialized in some topics, and our third team member Aryan was specialized in some topics. So for the easy problems, it was like uh, either of us would do it, but like for hard problems, we had like a clear understanding of okay, this problem is supposed to be done by this person, and this problem is meant for this person, and all. And that is something which helped us a lot in ICPC, because like if I am specialized in some problem, then definitely I would be able to do it much faster and with more accuracy. And similarly, it goes for the other two. So that is one thing which helped us. And apart from that, another thing was that we all were really good friends, and like we used to spend time with each other apart from CP. So it was not very difficult for us to communicate during the contest, like communicating our thoughts and what we think about a problem or anything. So there was a free communication in that aspect. And I guess definitely practicing a lot of team contests helps. So I guess that was the third thing which I think helped us. Kaustubh, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I think like you have covered most of the things. So like it's important to get a good team, a team that you have like an understanding with, a team that has skill set that is disjoint from your particular skill set. So that way everyone in the team can contribute something valuable to the team, something that is not a specialization of the other members. Yeah, other than that, like I think it's important that you all three of you are on similar levels, so that there's no one like they can actually understand what you're trying to say, and they can actually build upon your solution as well, like build upon your partial solution as well. Yeah, so I think like the most important factor is communication. So like you should have a team in which you are able to communicate effectively and understand well, and similarly it goes for the other team members as well. Yeah, I think that's the most important parts. Yeah, the like Vinith almost covered everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for actually answering this, and we got some very valuable insights. Now, one very common question that many of us have is that suppose we get stuck at some kind of a rating, say we are like just specialist or we are at expert, we are not able to go further. We try learning new things, we try doing things around, try practicing stuff, but still kind of we are stuck. So, what is your opinion on this? So, should we be practicing more problems? Should we be up solving? Should we learn new things? Suppose I'm at specialist, so should I be learning graph, VP, and advanced concepts, or should I be practicing? So, your opinions on this? Yeah.
I think Kaustubh can answer this question better.
Yeah, so like I sort of want to say all of them. So like you want to absolve the questions that you were not able to solve during the contest, and like one thing is that practicing is a good thing, but you should like we should try to practice outside of your comfort zone. So let's say that you're a specialist. So let's say that your rating is 1400. Do not practice problems that are like 1400, because like for a challenge you can go for problems which are 1600 or problems which are 1500 maybe. So always try to solve problems with the higher rating, and like keep a timer. Like don't sort of like give yourself ample amount of time to solve a question. Like you should have a sort of a time bound. And one more thing is that like what we tend to do is that if we have a solution for something, we are sometimes too lazy to code it up, and like we are like, okay, it should work. But I think it's also important to code it up and see, because some of the times our logic itself will be wrong. That's always a possibility. And other than that, the more you code, like the more like better your code writing skills are. So like it's more likely that you will not commit a mistake, and you will not consume time debugging just because you have practiced many questions of that form. Yeah, yeah, I think it's like all of them. So one thing that I used to do was that I didn't learn everything at the same time. So what I used to do was, let's say that I have a threshold that I should be able to solve till C, and I'm not able to solve till C, and I tried it for some time, whatever the time I decided, and then I look at the tutorial, and then it turns out that actually uses, let's say, graph, and I don't actually know what a graph is, what are the basic algorithms on graph. That is the time when I'll actually learn graph. So if you actually try to learn everything before moving ahead, first of all, it takes a lot of time. So you lose your motivation, and like you lose your code writing skills and stuff like that in that time. So I think it's better to learn on the go rather than learning most of the things before and then starting off.
Vinit, would you like to add on something to what Kaustubh said?
No, I think he did cover all the topics. So it's just about like practicing 100, 200 rating more than like what your current rating is. And like once you solve like 100, 200 problems around that rating, you would realize that you would have probably reached very close to that rating, which is when you can move ahead with what rating problems you do. So I think for me, it was just basically solving a lot of problems of like bit harder than what I was expected to, and upsolving a lot of contest. For me, that has also played like a really big role to upsolve all the contests that I am giving. If say in contest I'm able to do 3 questions, then I would see what is there in the editorial of the other like fourth and fifth question, which I was not able to do. So upsolving the contest that I give, or and doing virtual contest with my friends and then upsolving them. I guess that has played a more critical role in my growth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. One important question that we all had was when giving contests like on Codeforces and all, the stakes aren't very high. But when we go for important things, how do you manage the pressure at that time? Being in a team, suppose you see a question, just 30 minutes are left or something like that. So at that time, how do you actually manage the pressure and all those things?
I think honestly, we aren't someone who are able to manage pressure very well. Like even with us, there are a lot of times that we get into pressure and we are not able to think. I think it's just about giving a lot of virtual contest, practice contest, and getting used to that environment. I think once you are used to a particular environment of say sitting in a 5 hour contest and giving like solving problems like these, uh, in the contest you would like more often than not even realize the pressure or anything. It would just be about solving the problems, and you won't realize when the 5 hour passes away. Once you get stuck on a problem, it's a different story though. Everything starts coming into your mind again and again. But I think if you just practice well enough, it's fun. And even if you get stuck, you can practice for it, what to do, what you have to keep in mind, and where all you think you can make mistakes. So if you are practiced well, then you know what all can go in your favor and what all may not go into your favor, and you can practice accordingly.
Yeah, I think Vinit has covered most of the things.
Um, okay, that is great. One question actually from the chats was like one of them asked is I'm in my third year. I'm starting CP right now. So he asked if is it too late to begin with CP, or how long will it take me to get adjusted and things like these. So any comments on this?
Yeah, so like I think it's perfectly fine, like not perfectly fine, but I think it's okay if he's starting CP now. Anyways, what I think is that you should not be worried about what has happened till now. Like anyways, even if it's not okay to start CP now, you cannot go back in time. And like, yeah, so like the best course of action is to start now. And like it's not actually very, so like there's, so I believe that each person has a different threshold that they should be able to achieve with minimal effort. But after that, everyone has to practice, no matter who it is. So I think what depends is how much you practice and how quickly you are able to reach your threshold and how quickly you are able to go beyond. Like I don't, I don't think that it's too late to start now. I think he should start now. Yeah.
I think it's also about what your goals are and what you aim for. If your aim is to get a good rating in CP and grow in CP and have better skills in competitive programming, then definitely it's like better to start now than never. Definitely be learning a lot, and you would be making a lot of friends on your journey, and there would be a lot of ups and downs, and you would definitely get to learn a lot, most importantly. And if that's your goal, then you have to start now. But like, if say you don't necessarily want to just go in CP and your goal is just to prepare for DSA, then maybe you can take CP on a slightly lesser side. You can just give few contests and focus more on DSA if that's something that you eventually aim for. So I think it depends a lot on what your personal aim is. If it is to grow in CP, then you can start now and you can plan your journey in a way that you eventually reach your goal. And if your goal is something else, you can take a path accordingly. It's just that there is no shortcut to get to a good rating. You would have to spend a lot of time, you would have to practice a lot of problems, and it will take time. So that's just one thing which is something which can't be changed. And depending on what your goals are and depending what how the things might turn out, you can uh, take a decision for yourself.
Okay, that was really insightful. Thank you, Vineet and Kaustuv. One final question before we end here, because since you have other commitments too, I'll just conclude with one question. Can you just share some memorable experiences that you had in your overall journey to becoming a grandmaster, in your overall journey of competitive programming? So, anything that you want to share with the people out there?
Um, for me, my starting journey was the like it's something which I still remember at times. Like I started programming itself when I joined the college, and my start was pretty rough. I wasn't able to learn the things lot. I wasn't able to learn programming, and I was like literally scared of it at one point. And I think Costume even remembers that we were talking a few days back about it, how I used to ask very stupid doubts in class regarding programming and all. So my start was pretty rough. By like after like 6 7 months of I had started programming, I was like just completely scared of it. And it's only like when lockdown happened, we all went back home and I got time to relax a bit. I learned programming as a part to solve logical problems, logical puzzles, which didn't made me realize that I was so mean for me in my life. So the turnover that competitive programming brought in me from being scared of programming to feel like someone who is really good at programming. Uh, like from someone who would ask stupid doubts in the class to someone who can beat the topper of the class. So that change in me was because of competitive programming, and that has been the one of the best part of competitive programming for me. Apart from that, I think like uh, definitely the contest in which I became grandmaster was a pretty big thing for me. I was shouting aloud here and there, and I was screaming. I was talking to all my friends and all. So that was a really big part for me because like that was something I had been waiting for years to become grandmaster, and like that was also the first rating which I became before my competitor. So that was, I think, one of the like best part in my journey. I think Kostub can tell his.
Yeah. So like, Um, One of the things would definitely be, so like I was stuck around the same 23, like high 2300s for a long time, and like every time I would like sort of like for the last like 10 15, like for a lot of contests, like I would like just miss the next question by like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, so that was like very frustrating for a time. So like I think one of the points would definitely be the contest in which like I reached above 2500. So like the thing that I like most like about myself in that contest was that I solved the div 1 A and B very quickly, and when I solved div 1 B, there were not many solves for it, and like I probably knew at that point itself that I might be able to achieve the title of Grandmaster today. But instead of like sort of like chilling and like relaxing, I sort of went on to the next problem and gave it my best and was able to do it. So yeah, so that is one thing. Other than that, I would definitely say the ICPC Asia West thing. So in that, like we usually don't look at the scoreboard during the when we are giving ICPC. So we didn't actually look at the scoreboard till a lot of time, and then there was this one question that we were stuck on for a lot of time. But like yeah, so like we just sort of like went on and like kept trying irrespective of how futile it might seem, and like eventually we did get it, and that did help us to convert the like like maintain our ranking of uh, all India one in that ICPC Asia West. So that was definitely one of the good times, like one of the times when I felt the happiest. Yeah.
Thank you, Kaustup and Vinny, for spending your valuable time with us and sharing so many good insights and all your experiences with us. Now you might have some other commitments, so we will conclude of the meet. If you have something to say from your side, we can have a minute or so to spare on that. Do you have something to tell the audience here? Uh, Vinny, Kaustup.
Kaustav, do you want to say?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go first. So like I just want to say that consistency is key. So it's important that you keep on giving all contests and keep on practicing even if it feels like you're not improving at all, because the improvement that you get from solving, let's say, one question or like 10 questions is like it's like not a lot, it's just marginal. And like if you keep on doing these marginal things, then only you'll get. So like it's important to keep patience and like keep practicing, and I think like consistency is the most important thing. So like irrespective of like I give div 4s and div 3s also, so irrespective of what type of contest it is, just giving the contest and then like practicing as much as you can. And after that, like I think like giving all contests and solving the ones you were unable to solve is the most important part of the system.
Need
I think,
something to add on?
yeah, I think I would also go with what Kaustav said. Consistency is the most important thing. Like, you need to be able to solve a lot of problems irrespective of what's happening. And no matter how motivated you are, you need a good set of people around you to motivate you. If, say, you were the only one doing competitive programming in the whole world, no one would have been doing competitive programming. It's only because of people around us that we feel motivated and we feel the value for it. So I think, according to me, the best advice would be to find the right set of people around you who are motivated, who are equally motivated to do competitive programming and grow in it. And for me, that person has been Kaustubh. So in one line, if I would have to say, I would frame it that the key thing in competitive programming is to find the costume around you. I think that would be my final one.
Okay, thank you, Vineet and Kostu. Okay, you have inspired many people today. At least I got inspired, and I'll be starting on doing more than what I'm already doing. So thanks a lot, and thank you for giving your time. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.